guys and girls. Yes, I remember I'm live now. I didn't get a signal, but I'm getting good at this. And I'm waiting for Michael to join me because today we do our show Vocalize So You'll Rise. So Michael and I have been preparing a little thing
Hello.
about, hi there. I just said we have been preparing a little thing about how to increase courage to stand up to others by conquering fear one stride at a time. And you probably know why I didn't say one step at a time. Didn't
Yeah,
feel right to use one step at a time. I was
yeah.
like, So how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. A
You've been
little
busy.
tired.
You've been busy.
Yeah, I've been busy. Well, so were you. I believe you both were on some gaming channel with Evan Carmichael and
Yeah,
Drew.
I'm. I try to be on his lives, streams whenever I can.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah,
even a.
that's good. So, you want to share a little bit about your video series? What you're about
Oh,
to record
the new
or
show.
already have recorded?
I started a new show called Empowering Discussions with a Disabled Man. It's basically just I bring on a guest. They interview me, ask me any questions they want, anything about disability, any misconceptions they have, anything they may think of is one way is actually another way, and then we just talk about whatever they want. And then I have 5 questions at the end that I have specifically ask of them that I created because I love the show Inside the Actor Studio. I'm not sure if you ever heard of it. I love that show. So I came up with 5 questions of my own to
Yeah.
basically uh, mimic that survey. And then yeah, I really enjoyed it so far. I've only had one episode. We had Angela Vasquez on it. It was really
Yeah,
good.
that's the best kickoff you can get with Angela.
She was really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
So that's good. That's amazing. So I saw how you promoted it. It was like looking at a glossy magazine. I loved that
Yeah,
cover.
I did that on purpose because since I'm a writer, I figured I saw the magazine uh, on Canva, and I just put Angela's picture and a few like headlines on either side.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was nice. It looked
thank you.
really good. So that means that basically, because of what they're asking, you probably have a little bit more input on our Monday shows straight after, or
That's part of the plan. Yeah.
well, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, I love how we brainstorm together prior to the show. Like, okay, what are we going to talk about? And we
Yeah.
nicely seem to align.
What was that?
We seem to nicely align.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so for
That's
the viewers who do not know, um, either I write something and then Michael he edits a little something or he writes down something and then I add a little something or I edit a little something and so we make it work together. So cool.
collaboration is what it's all about.
Yeah, that's right. So how
Together.
long
Yeah.
have we been doing this now? For a little over a month. This is the fifth
Yeah.
show,
So,
I think.
yeah. I think this is the fourth show.
The fourth?
'Cause I know,
Oh yeah, depends on how you count the first one because we
well,
did
it's
sort of as a concept
probably three.
version.
Yeah, we did one that was just us, and then we did one with Chris and Joe, and then we did one with uh, one other guest at the
Yeah,
time.
I know we
I
did
can
one with Chris too.
yeah.
He really loved it, and who else? Oh, I'm a wreck right now. I've just recovered from COVID, so I'm glad I'm here at this
Well,
time. I'm later than usual. Last week I
That's too
presented
bad.
with symptoms of COVID, so
But
I'm happy to already be over and done with it. Well, except for the after effects. That's it.
thankfully, thankfully, I haven't. My wife had it though, but she was on the couch for like a month.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I'm so used to struggling with my own things. As you may know, I've got EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So
yeah.
Ehlers, Dr. Danlos both found out about people with hypermobility and then some more. And apparently a specific gene that's off the chart. But anyway, um,
I've heard
because
of that,
I'm
but
so used.
I had it.
I'm sorry.
I've heard of that, but I didn't know you had it.
Oh well, I've got hypermobility,
Okay.
so that's why I've been walking with crutches for 7 years, and that's why my knee now caved in, and I'm using a brace. That's why I'm getting one for my right knee as well tomorrow. It's all due to hypermobility. So the going 2 times a week to the physical therapist is because of that.
Yeah.
But the EDS is more than just hypermobility. It also affects the lungs and so basically everything that consists of ligaments,
Hmm.
which of course also encapsulates our organs, can give a problem.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah.
Also,
Hmm.
yeah, but I'm glad I got my vaccinations. So I guess that made a difference.
Yeah.
So
Hope so.
and the booster shot.
Let's hope.
Yeah, but then again, like I said, I'm so used to having sinusitis as a result of everything that's going on. Every day I get up and it's like, how much energy do I have? Did I drink enough so I don't have a headache? And basically, and a lot of people were surprised by this, but I guess that you know this too, is um, being able to regenerate energy on the spot.
Being able to what now?
Regenerate energy on the spot if
Oh.
needed.
Um. I have uh Epstein-Barr virus, so I can be like completely fine, and then I'll get really tired, so I won't be able. I'll be able like need to go to bed and take a nap, and yeah, it'll wipe me out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I've got, when I've been to the physical therapist or done something else, then I might get very tired. Then I may need to lie down for a while. And then I get back up again. And then, okay, can go again. But usually, even when I'm really tired, when I do a live, that usually helps me. Like, oh yeah, here, I can go again. So that's good.
Good. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
So I like your hair nowadays.
Thank you.
Seems like it's less and less each time.
Yeah. This is the boldest I've ever been.
Yeah. So what's the scar on your head? I didn't
Oh,
see it last time. So what
just
happened? Did they take off a piece of your skull?
one of my operations. I had 2 operations on my head because of putting in shunts and taking out shunts, and because one malfunctioned, and yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
Thankfully, 2 of them though on my head.
So is there original bone in there, or do you have a metal plate by now?
No, it's all bone. The only metal I have I have metal pins in my legs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So what happens when you go through customs? Because I know that whenever I'm in a wheelchair, the question, of
I
course,
do.
is can I get up or not? So if I can't get up, I need to get swapped twice. If I can't get out, I get swapped once. And of course, nowadays they need to swap the brace too.
Yeah.
So how does that work for you?
I don't go through the machine. They wand me, and
Yeah.
knowing it's gonna be because I've got metal. Like I've got my braces usually on if I travel. Well, always on if I travel, and then I have the pins in my legs. So no matter what, I've got metal in my legs. So I don't go through the machine, but they do wand me, and then I tell them what I've got, so they don't freak out and arrest me.
I remember the very first time that I went through the X-ray and I was, I have got two pins in my foot. Can you see it? No. Ah. But of course, the crutches, because they're all pinned, I basically tell them, just put them through the X-ray machine.
Yeah.
Don't bother with it. As long as I can sit down straight away again. But I remember the first time I had to take off my shoes because they were like boots. And
Hmm.
so then you need to take them off. So depending on where I am, I need to take them off or not.
Yeah.
And by that time I could, and at first I couldn't stand without them because I would really lose my balance. So I remember being in Germany, getting a wheelchair from the airport, and then I had friends there who were leaving. They were going back to the US. I was, of course, going back to the Netherlands. So I was there for a couple of hours and I was just racing around in a wheelchair because they gave me a big wheel wheelchair. Basically, I asked for a big wheel wheelchair, so I had freedom. So by the time I had to go through security, it was like, yeah, we've encountered something on that wheelchair. And it was like, yeah, it's yours. I don't know what you've done with it. So they had to get the police, the Bundespolizei,
Okay.
to swap the whole thing. And it was like, I'm going to miss that plane. And they tried to calm me down because I was like, I'm going to miss it. And then, okay. You know, why aren't they here? You know, it was like, there are some funny things that happen when you have to go through customs with
Hmm.
braces and wheelchairs and all that stuff.
Yeah. Thankfully, I've only ever been out of the country once.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I've been with a wheelchair through customs more often than you have.
Yeah. I went to Ireland when I was 19, so that was 25 years ago.
Okay. What brought you to Ireland?
When I was 19, I got chosen to be on the Irish youth team. 15 kids flew from America to Ireland and participated in Olympic Games, like wheelchair races, uh, javelin, triple jump, slalom, swimming, things like that. So I went
Mm-hmm.
there. I did three wheelchair racing events, one swimming event. I won three gold, one silver, and that was it. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Amazing.
Thank
Cool.
you.
So, were you able to hear what they were saying, the Irish people? I mean, they have a thick accent.
Yeah, I understood most of it, and it was funny. I was there for 2 weeks, so I was able to fake the accent pretty well. But yeah, I was
Oh,
yeah,
oh, you were actually able to reproduce their accent.
yeah. Not, I mean,
Okay.
it wasn't. I was in Dublin for 2 weeks, and then I was well, 1 week I was in Dublin, 1 week I was in Wexford. So the accents weren't that bad actually. They weren't that deep. I've heard really bad, well not bad, but uh, deep where it's hard to figure out. But the ones I heard over
Yeah.
there were pretty.
Yeah, I don't know which one is worse, Irish or Scottish. Well, I'm used to Scottish because my
I say
brother-in-law is
I would say,
Scottish.
but I'm not used to accents.
Yeah. So what would you say?
I would say Scottish,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I'm
I believe Joe says so too. She's great at imitating all those accents from England. You
yeah.
know, just recently she was doing some, and it was really funny. She was supposed to be here, but maybe she didn't know that we were starting an hour later. So, or she's simply tired. Could be too.
Yeah.
Um.
My wife
Anyway.
can do accents really well. I can't do accents at all.
Well, I can only do a little like what we call plat Haag. So that's the, how do I say it? It's not so much the local language in The Hague. It's more like So like you have proper English,
Mm-hmm.
where like Queen Elizabeth,
Yeah, King
and
English.
then you have the one where they literally chew on every word, and which is like rural English,
Mm-hmm.
which is for the not so sophisticated people. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not implying that people who are living in the rural area are not sophisticated. That's not what I'm trying to say, but there's a difference between those who went to university, all that stuff, and
Yeah.
especially from the royal house.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we have this icon. It's an animation figure. Well, animation is drawn. So it's not a cartoon, it's not an animation, but something in between.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's called Haagse Harry, so that's the Harry from The Hague. Haagse, The Hague, Harry, Harry.
Mm-hmm.
He has got this, what do you call it? A mullet,
Mm-hmm.
where you have the hair like all the way long in the back, and then it's
Oh, okay.
shaved in here.
I don't know what that. I've seen it, but I don't know. I don't know what it's called.
I think it's called a mullet.
Okay.
Um, anyway, back in the 80s, that was normal, together with the training suits. Did you
Okay.
have training suits over there too back then?
Training suits? I don't think so.
We had those training suits with the flashy colors, and you had them in all shapes and sizes, and usually you would wear them if you were working out and you would go to a gym. But at
Mm-hmm.
some point, everyone would be wearing them, and yeah, so like trekking suits, and they were basically it was like some sort of statement for what kind of people they were.
Yeah.
But I'm saying all the wrong things probably, but the people who know what I'm talking about Haagse Harry, they love probably. So to give you and hi there, someone is
Well,
up late. Um, so for I know you can't hear it, but I'm just going to say it anyway. So, decent Dutch would be 55 ijzeren pijpleidingen. And then when you do it in plat Haags, it's 55 ijzeren pijpleidingen. So that's sort of the difference.
that was cute, but I have no idea what you just said.
I said 55 iron pipes.
Okay.
55, it's 55, 55. Iron, ijzeren, ijzeren, and then pijpleidingen, so that's the pipes which are attached to whatever. This pipe, tap, it's the difference. Yeah, I'm just being a little bit silly here. So Rosie is here too.
Hello, Rose.
Maybe we should start.
Good.
Yeah, it's
This is a
funny.
good way to get. You know?
Sorry?
It's a good way to wait for people to come in, though.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I have to say that talking about how we were dressed back then, so I don't know what the English word is, but back then, the people who were going to rave the city parties, did you have the
Mm-hmm.
raves and
Race,
the
no.
house parties?
I,
No, the
I,
rave.
I house party, but I've heard of them.
Yeah, okay. Well, early 90s, you had rave parties, rave the city, which basically was playing house. And
Yeah.
then, so if you compare it to black, um, it was, IDTV had black, black and white dance parties. And you would be either dressed totally in black or you would either be totally dressed in white.
Okay.
Well, and the black, that's the louder music with the constant beep 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 and all those sounds. It's where the white is more the mellow, more the trance.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones with the most noise, that's basically Rave the City. That's
Okay.
with the sirens and you must know um, Anita and what were they called? Twilight. That song, the Twilight song. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm trying to come up with things. There are a million things running around in my head. My head is a little jumpy lately, I guess. So, okay. So back to what I wanted to say was back in those days,
Hmm.
I was wearing sneakers, and at those rave to city parties, there was a certain way of dancing. So you would be standing on one foot, and you would hop on one foot, all the way across the room, and then you would
Yeah.
turn around and do some other stuff. And then one day, I wasn't wearing my sneakers; I was wearing heels, and a skirt. And of course, the floor was covered in beer and dirt. So there was.
So you did a
I
split.
got a Yeah, I fell on my elbow, and
I hate
so
that.
it was cut. All the
Hmm.
dirt came in there, and then 2 weeks later, it was swollen from here to there.
Oh, damn.
Uh, yeah, and well, it's still not good nowadays, and it's like 3 decades later. So that was
Mm.
the first of my encounters with housework.
I have one on my elbow right now, but it's a very small one.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
Well, stay away from it.
Like
Oh,
that.
yeah, I can tell. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a small
It
one.
hurts.
Well, the
It'll.
cut was actually smaller than that one. Just the
Oh, wow.
result wasn't.
Hmm. Oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah, dirt, beer. So,
What
you know,
was that?
it was dirt and beer which was entering the wound. And
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
yeah, so they flushed it and all that stuff. But,
Hmm.
I can't keep away from all those stuff. So, probably my fault. But yeah, that was the first time I couldn't do anything with my left arm. Fortunately, I'm primarily right-handed. No, that's not true. I use both hands, but I'm primarily right. But I'm left-handed as well. So, but I think that was the first time that I started doing things, primarily with one hand, and then later on, this hand didn't work anymore. This wrist. At the
Hmm.
beginning of the computer age, it was straight after, I suppose. Yeah, I think that was maybe a year later that I couldn't use this one anymore. And then they said, well, you need to take it easy. So then I started to do all the typing with this hand. And then I had two hands that didn't function anymore
Oh,
and
wow.
two elbows. Try to cut your meat. Try to open a bottle when you have two hands that are not working.
Oh, I'm sure that.
Brushing
Yeah.
teeth. Yeah. So I have my fair share of things early on. And still, people didn't know that there was something wrong with
Hmm.
my hypermobility. They just didn't know. So, okay. You have to sometimes reel me back in because I'm all over the place. I know.
Okay. Okay.
So, we were going to talk about how to increase courage to stand up to others by conquering your fear one stride at a time.
Hmm.
And so when you try to gather strength to stand up against others, and this is where it gets important, you are gathering your strength to
Hmm.
battle your fears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfor-
So
Unfortunately,
you,
one of the ways to get past your fears is to just power through and just do it, and even if you do it and fail, you just get back up and do it again. And
so what would you tell people who say, yeah, that sounds easy, but that's easier said than done?
it's not easy. I'll be the first to admit it's not easy, but it's better than the alternative of not doing it and wondering and always thinking what could have been or what could be.
Hmm.
Well, it's not easy, but it becomes easier as time goes on.
Yeah.
How to do it.
So I don't know about you, but I do know a lot of people who don't even get to the point of trying.
Yeah, I'm one of them. It took me a long time to start trying,
Well, you did.
but yeah, I got there. It just took me almost 20 years, but I got there. And I'm not
So
saying
what
it's
changed for you? What made you do it?
um well, it's a few things. The responsibility because I have to take care. I have a wife and a dog and an apartment to take care of, so I have to be, you know, have to maintain things and make sure things don't fall by the wayside. And it was that coupled with just wanting to be better for myself. Um, just wanting to, just getting. I got to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I got to just go and see what happens. And thankfully, it's better than it was.
Okay. So what couldn't you do anymore?
Be stagnant. It's hard
Ah,
to. It's comfortable to stay where you're at and not do anything because you're not failing. And I have a crippling fear of failure. Always have. But when you get up to the point of wanting to do more and having that feeling within you to be better, you have to go and see what happens. And if you fail, just get back up, keep doing. I'm the type of person that I'll do something, fall on my face, and do it again. I don't care. I mean, it's with a lot of things. I don't care. I just got better as time went on. You just gotta pull through and don't stop. You can take 1 or 2 days to recharge, but just always keep going to work harder on yourself and for yourself, but for other people as well, because
mm-hmm.
other people are pulling for you,
Yeah.
even if they're not.
Yeah. I guess having the support from other people, even if it's not even that openly done,
Yeah,
but they are there in the background and sometimes telling you, and they share it unexpectedly with you. That
yeah,
gives a major boost.
yeah. That's odd. It when it comes at unexpected times and different times. It's like, ooh, okay, and it's just it can be nice and well, it's just sometimes it's surprising and it changes the way you think about things. Like when I don't think that they're watching me or supporting me, and then they say something to me like that, it's like a shift in your thinking, which is a good thing. And it keeps going. But up until that point, you are just wandering aimlessly sometimes, or at least for me anyway.
Hmm. Yeah, that's why I like to reflect and um, be able to brainstorm with people.
Yeah.
It gets you out of that zone, like it's going circles, and
Oh
then
yeah.
instead get
Yeah.
things done.
Yeah. Yeah. Collaboration and thinking about things together and uh, having a clear mindset, having a clear thought on something gets you out of different thinking, the different negative thinking that you were in previously. So it just
Yeah,
changes your whole way of thinking, which is a good thing. It's important. But
yeah,
I'm a big believer in self check-ins. Like just
yeah.
yeah,
I am too. See,
yeah.
there's Joe. She knows all about the accents. Oh, Joe, you missed something. But we're trying to be more serious. But today is a little bit of a problem with me. So I already said to Michael that he has to reel me back in.
The beginning was fun.
Well, you have to check the beginning then. That's what I heard.
Well,
So,
it's enjoying myself, but I mean, the beginning. I'm just acknowledging how fun and funny and the beginning was. Because usually on lives, the beginning suck. This one did not.
Well, make sure you're going to see it again, Joe. No worries. Yeah, I know I've told people, but I actually have the ADHD, the hyper, the big H, huge H.
Yeah.
And yeah, Joe knows by now.
I'm
And
completely the opposite of that.
yeah, well, you might be happy. And because of everything that I've been through, like last week, it's like as a result of not being to get, so not being able to go outside, it's like I'm shedding on whenever I get the chance. I don't know what's happening to me. Then again, it could also be the result of things that have happened, which probably have released some things in my mind, and so it's not as structured as normal. I can basically get myself to say, okay, now we're back at it again, but apparently not so much today. So. Okay, so what I wanted to ask you, so you were talking about powering through and, finding the courage to start doing something that you might be afraid of.
Yeah.
And have you ever heard of the golden cage of fear?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so the golden cage of fear, I think Brandon Burchard talked about it. Not sure if he
Okay.
was the one. Hey, there's Evan. Hey, hello,
Evan's on.
Evan. You want to join us? Say hi on the video. Well, the golden cage of fear basically is when you feel like you're in that comfort zone, but
Mm-hmm.
in practicality, in all reality, it's you're stuck. You're stuck
Yeah.
in your own fear because you're like, okay, this could happen, that could happen, and so you won't get beyond what's out there. So that's the golden cage of fear. It feels comfortable, probably what you said for during those 20 years, but at
Yeah.
some point it's not that comfortable anymore, and then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, what am I going to do to get out of that
Comfort
pity
is nice,
golden
but
cage? Yeah.
comfort
Well,
is a nice place.
hey, Evan is going to join us. Hey. Yeah. In the meanwhile, I'm going
Oh,
quickly looking at all the. Oh no, I don't know. It disappeared again. Not sure. So, okay, so we were talking about powering through. What do we have as well? So, courage is the journey of fighting through and withstanding fear. Now, we
mm-hmm.
already started about going there, um, finding your courage and applying it one step at a time strengthens you emotionally, mentally, and to an extent also physically.
Yeah. The
So, I
the
don't know,
emotional
did you?
part.
Huh?
The emotional part is the one I resonate with because it changes me. That is part of my momentum as far as like going forward and keeping going. The
Mm-hmm.
more courage you have, the stronger you feel emotionally, and then well, for me anyway. And then you keep going. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
way.
So I added physically. So Evan is saying something I don't have a clue what he's
It,
talking about.
it's too laggy.
Oh, okay,
The Wi-Fi.
okay. Yeah, I get it. So I'm always very grateful for the people who always explain me a little here and there. Um, okay, so what I added to it was also the physically. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you recently saw this post I had on my Instagram. So this weekend, as in yesterday, there were a couple of girls walking outside,
Mm-hmm.
and they are from a theater group, and the six of them they positioned themselves and then they walked. And you can actually see it on my Instagram. And they said, we want to see it in slow motion. So on
Mm-hmm.
the spot, I slowed it down, showed it to them. And um, the way they walked, the way they felt confident. That was so amazingly cool to watch. And I suppose that when you get stronger emotionally and especially mentally,
Mm-hmm.
that also shows. It shows in the way you walk, the way you talk. So it shows in the way you look.
Emotion creates motion.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Emotion
Yeah.
creates motion. Yeah,
If you
it sets
change your
us in motion, but also, yeah,
you change the emotions, I believe it will translate to your physiology and
yeah,
the way you move, your posture, how fast you walk, how much you breathe, things like that.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. So a lot of people, they don't realize that I'm completely unstable because they only see me standing. And when I stand, I learned that when I was doing medical fitness training to really stand on two legs. Of course, that's only been since 2 years or something, because before that
Mm.
I couldn't stand on 2 feet. But now I'm back to, well, since like half a year, I'm really learning to get back standing on 2 feet again. So I'm pretty much, I'm not ladylike when I walk. Absolutely not. Yeah, I'll just say the way it is. You have never seen it, but so yeah, I stand firm on the ground. So that's true. Um, so what else do we have? Fear is a nasty habit of rearing its ugly head. I love that when you said that. Right at that moment when you are struggling most to get past a certain situation. So shall I continue on, or do we want to get into this bit first?
Well, what I meant by that was just you can feel well, for me anyway, I can feel strong, but then it'll a certain thought will pop into my head that like is a previous thought that I've always had in my head that is just in the back, and it'll come to the forefront and it'll stop me in my tracks.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, yeah, I love the expression, so I understood what you were getting at. Yeah, it's basically like a mindset. And one can wonder, did it start between the ages of 0 and 7, or maybe because of very emotional experience?
Mhm.
Those are the main two reasons that a mindset creates. It's basic survival mechanism. And yes, and the thing is, it helps when you're growing up. It helps maybe in that one situation, but then when you grow older, it usually works against you. So
Hmm.
mindsets are nice in the beginning, but not when you grow older. It basically stops you in your tracks, literally, what you are
Yeah.
saying. So fear also grabs a hold of you when you really badly want to accomplish that one dream, making you doubt yourself and believe that you won't be able to attain that one specific goal ever. Well, I'm not an English native speaker, so I had to look up the difference between to obtain and to attain. Something like the difference between to effect and to effect was an E and A. But maybe you can explain a little bit better. I know it by now, but
Obtain and attain are pretty similar. Um, I don't know the exact definitions. Just attain means to get something, to achieve something, and obtain means to basically. They're almost similar. I mean, they're almost a
yeah,
synonym.
I understood the differences between or to obtain could be just about anything,
Hmm.
about getting anything, and to attain is really goal oriented.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you also used it in that in that meaning, so it seemed to make sense because you said and believe that you won't be able to attain that one specific goal ever
Yeah.
when we're talking about accomplishing that dream.
Obtain is more like physical things, and attain is more like a goal or something that you want to do. I guess it's more
Hmm.
like yeah, more thought process.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, and this is the thing: fear can keep us from even getting somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Not
It'll
even
keep
starting at
you,
all.
it'll keep you from even doing anything.
Yeah. And
That's
I dare say that we might not even be in a comfortable position.
it's funny. Like in the beginning, like your brain is meant to keep you alive, and that's it.
Hmm.
I think you're comfortable, but you get to a point where you're not comfortable, but the thought of failing is better than isn't the thought of failing is not as good as being where you're at, even though you're not happy where you're at. That's where I've been
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
So
So
like
there's
sorry.
the state of being comfortable. There's a state which is worse than feeling comfortable, but at least you know what the odds are and how it's not working. And
Yeah,
then, of course, there's like, okay, let's go and jump into the unknown and see what's going to
yeah,
happen because we want to
yeah.
realize that dream. And um, so I guess that, you know, in our situation, having dealing with certain physical challenges, ailments, whatever you want to call it, the reward to change something is so much bigger. So there's more. Um, how would I say it? The reason to start doing it is far bigger
Hmm.
because the reward is so much sweeter.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you, it's like what Evan says with momentum. If you get a taste for that reward or that movement forward and what it'll give you eventually, that'll keep you going.
Yeah.
It's just all you need is a little bit. And I mean, like for me, example, I've been doing a blog for about disability, and people have actually messaged me, hey, Ange, people have messaged me from different countries and thanking me for what I'm doing. That's huge to me.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
that keeps me going.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Angela, I know you were live last Friday with Michael. So if you want to join, you were on the cover of a glossy magazine.
She was.
And you look good. Yeah, there's the hello. Yeah, yeah, it's true. Okay, I shouldn't have been talking about this, you know. My head is really not working. I've got those. Oh, you are amazing. That's good. You know that I get a little bit foggy every now and then, so I'll get back to it again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so help me for a sec here.
What's up?
Oh yeah, we have reasons that you told about the blog. That was it.
Yeah.
So I'm back here. Yeah, it's
Okay.
good that you inspire other people by what you're sharing.
That's the idea. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That
and
that
and that
what keeps me going is that.
yeah, sorry, I went right through you. Can you repeat the last sentence?
Well, that's what keeps me going. That's what makes me want to do what I'm doing is helping people and like making a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's why the two of us found one another
Yeah.
to do this show because we love to see the good side of things
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
have a good laugh at what's happening. Angela, instead of sending hearts, how about just joining us? Send that request. Get into Studio 12 and come here with us. Yeah, but that's good. That's good that you're doing it, and that's what I noticed too. And I keep noticing it every time, and that people see me, they're like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" And that's why I actually had those business cards made when I was in the US. Ah, yeah, we love you too, Angela. That's amazing. She's going to bed earlier than I am. Something is not entirely right.
What do you do? What time
Well,
is it
she
by you?
says I can't. I'm just going to bed.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's 3 at night here. It's at 9 in the evening over there where she is.
it's 6:53 here. It's like I believe it's 9:53 where she is.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. I thought it was 8:53 even. Oh, doesn't matter. Um, Judging by the heart, we're just about right about. Oh yeah, 10 p.m. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Oh, it's a
yeah.
5 hour time difference.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. Or am off. Could be too. Yeah, doesn't matter. Okay, so number three. Um, Courage is the mental drive that jumpstarts your actions and gives you the momentum. I love that. To power through, oh, that's what you talked about. Any difficult situation or second guessing without looking back, leading to pride and celebration.
Yeah,
I
because
don't believe that we got to talk about without looking back. We did talk about, okay, sometimes we just need to get going.
if you
What
start
would you
something,
say?
it'll possibly stop you in your tracks, and it'll stop you before you even start, which is bad for progress and what you want to accomplish, and it's not a good thing. Like I say, if you are feeling well, take 1 or 2 days off, but it's important to keep going and have it always in your head so that you never stop for long periods of time.
Yeah, that's so true. And I know we are talking about some specific physical things here, but if I um, just go a little bit, in a different direction, it's all, or I take it more general. It's all about a certain reward. Like, what is it that you have to gain? What's the prize that's waiting for you? And what can
Mm-hmm.
you do to muster up that courage to get going for it again?
I think it's important to get an inward reward, get something
Yes.
that you because if you think of something that's outward, it won't last. It's not going to last. It'll last for a while, but it depends on what the reward is. It's not going to last. But
Hmm.
if you think of something that is internal and means the most to you, that's what it means. It'll keep going. It'll last, and it'll allow
Yeah.
you to accomplish more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I said being able to regain something physically, some sort of freedom, whether it's by regaining a certain movement or maybe learning something else or applying something else, which will achieve that same purpose, the same
Hmm.
goal.
Yeah.
Um, that's usually what gets us motivated to really go for it because you want to be able to do more than you did before, or you want to regain whatever um, function you had compared to before. As for, and I'm not sure if I want to go there right now. Of course, there are a lot of other things which can keep a person from going, like depression, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah. That's that's a big part. That's a big part. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
and
I have the just not. That's partially what stops me in my tracks from doing what I want to do.
mhm.
I mean, it hasn't happened for a while, but there's been days when I just didn't want to get out of bed, so I just stayed in bed all day, or I would get out of bed but not leave my room. So it's yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, and then the question is, can you do it with only an internal trigger, or do you need some external push to get going?
I think you can do it with both. It's best to be if you can figure out an internal trigger. I'm a big believer in NLP, so I think I've learned how if you can think of an emotion and anchor it with a thought or a feeling or like just a physical gesture that'll trigger you back to where you were in that moment if you do it long enough. You can't just do it
Yeah.
once and be like, oh, I'm cured. That doesn't work. You got to do it over
No.
and over and over again until it's burned into your brain.
Yeah. But something can. So when I make this motion, and for me, actually, one time was enough to help me with it. But I've got a very, very vivid imagination. So let's. So when I grew up, I was already always daydreaming. So for me, visualization is like second nature. So there's a question. What's the question? What is your greatest moment you have ever experienced? Well, Angela, we are going to answer that in a little bit. But going back to the physical, so this for me represents an inch. And that inch is linked to the high heels, the platform boots from Kiss, and specifically from Eric Carr. And he was the funny guy within Kiss, and because he was so tiny, he made the most noise because he was a drummer,
Mm-hmm.
and he introduced the double bass drum back in the early 80s during their lives. But he had to, of course, not when he was behind the drum kit, because then he had to wear flat sneakers. But when he would go out on stage, he would, or be in a photo shoot, he would have an extra inch. And every time I think about it, it just makes me smile. And,
Mm-hmm.
when thoughts are running around in my head, or music that I can't get rid of, then I'll just think of a certain song from that album where I didn't see him the first time, but it's a very powerful song.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's what we need to get back and to get back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So, and it could be in various, it could be looking at something. I just put these on. I didn't have them on in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they are like rings, and I don't know if you can see it, but they have an outer ring and an inner ring.
Okay.
So they are for people who like to fidget, and I'm one of those people. So luckily for me, I'm off camera, when it comes to my hands, because I'm always moving around, always doing something. Um, and yeah, so and soon this will be probably tattooed on my hand, which also serves as a reminder. And I've got a couple of those things, like those stars over here, and
Mm-hmm.
they're actually over here as well.
Okay.
So they were to help me through difficult times. Same applies to the stars over here. And of course, this sleeve is based on, it's always difficult to show, but this is for my new life.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when I got my second surgery.
Okay.
So, okay, Angela asked us something. She asked us, what is your greatest moment you have ever experienced? She knows to ask questions, right? You want to go first?
Well, first is getting married. My wedding was amazing.
Uh-huh.
Second, getting our dog. She's like my daughter. She's like the closest to a human daughter ever gonna have. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Graduating high school was amazing. And when I told you when I used to be in the uh, Olympic Games, winning all those medals and going through that those challenges, that was amazing too. Because I would do those races, and it was just that empowered me. That changed me physically and emotionally, definitely.
Cool. Um, I don't know if I can answer it, but well, I like what you just said about things that change you
Yeah.
emotionally and mentally. Um, One of the big breakthroughs I had was when I think it was at the beginning of 2018, 2017 probably. I went to the Academy of Art, and back in the days we had those huge, big cameras. I don't know if you remember, and that means we had huge tripods as well. Well, imagine a student like me going by train and then we had those things were like this high up, just for the tripods, and then you had a big suitcase, and the camera would be in there, and I would, and then of course I would have my A0 sized drawing folder, so that's the biggest sheet paper you can imagine, as well. So no wonder that they were pickpocketing me. And it was back in the days when we didn't have mobile phones, so my mom knew before me that I had no wallet. She was worried like crazy. And thankfully, my sister lived in Rotterdam by the time, and I was studying in Rotterdam, so she came to me, and I think that the police helped us out, so I could actually get back on the train again, because I was worried about getting a fine, getting back on the train. I wasn't worried about not having all the papers. I wasn't worried about that, getting a fine. I mean, well, talk about being gullible back then. Anyway, so when friends from me came over, and I think that started around 2014, and I was going backstage with them at some point. I think it was 2017, we started talking. I was sitting there and I was like, oh, that's cool. You made all these little videos there. And when the sun would be going up, he made these time lapses. And I was looking at it and I was like, I used to do that stuff too. What happened? And so I started I decided I wanted to change this. So the year after, and a lot of things happened in that year, but that year after I was like, okay, now I'm going to record all this stuff. So I actually bought a very good camera, which also is equipped to handle concert noise, as in 100 up to 140 decibels. So that's pretty loud. So the standard's normally 100. The standard for a camera is 120, but this one's 140. And I took all these shots, and they went viral, which was pretty cool. And I loved being on stage. I loved being backstage. And of course, with the crutches and not being able to keep my balance, that was a little bit hard, having to go 4 floors up and then down again. They figured it was pretty tricky too. But it gave me a goal. It gave me the goal, like, I want to regain freedom. If I want to travel to Berlin, or I want to travel to London, and I want to take the subway, I want to be able to do so, and not like at every corner, oh my God, how much longer do I have to walk? Because it really hurts,
Yeah.
And back then it was not just not being able to walk, it was also the pain, the constant pain that was there because things were constantly out of position. So the moment I reconnected with that feeling again, I think that was one of the most important things that happened to me, because I reconnected with my authenticity. That's it. I reconnected with my authenticity. I became creative again. I love to write, and I would write lots of stories about where I would be in Europe. I finally got to see Europe because I never traveled Europe on my own, because other people didn't want to go with me. So that's funny how that works. You need people to come over from the US to actually get to see Europe. I did things I never thought I would do. Like getting stuck at the airport in Barcelona, I told you about that story.
Yeah.
Drive over there, drive in France, in Paris, all that stuff that I didn't think was possible. I started creating all those videos, working with filters, and I had a ball, and I really changed as a person, with the necessary consequences, I might add. And directly linked to it was also my search to find someone who would help me with that ankle, and I ended up with the one who was trained by another doctor I'd seen the year before, and he didn't want to do anything, and he was one of many. But she said, "Okay, I'm going to help you out." And now every day every day for me is like that one joyous moment, like, hey, I'm able to do this, or I'm capable of doing the other one, and regaining my freedom bit by bit every day, again and again.
Yeah.
That's it. Those are all amazing moments. They're priceless moments. So the question is a bit difficult to answer, um, because I don't believe we're there yet. I don't think I've already experienced the greatest moment in my life.
Well, I just answered it just so far. I mean, I hope that it isn't, but so far those are the ones that were stood out for me.
Yeah. Ah, you're welcome, Angela. She says precious moments. She loves it. Thank you for sharing. Well, I have to say, whenever I see that picture of you with all the medals, and for those who take a good look at the thumbnails and our post, they can actually see that you are wearing all those medals.
Yeah.
So,
When I was 19, I was the last year that I was doing the Olympic Games, and I always said that I'm going to wear every single medal that the last
yeah,
day, the entire day, and I did, and I didn't have any uh, events to do. I just rolled around with 57 medals around my neck, and it got me a interview with a newspaper, which was pretty cool. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. I guess that with time changing, and I literally mean us getting older,
Hmm.
that priorities change. And so what makes me happy changes too. I mean, for me, it's knowing that I kept people from committing suicide, for instance. That's one big celebration for me. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I can mean something for someone, and change his or her life. So, yeah, Angela, I want to do a live with
Good
you
night.
soon, and then I'm going to ask you that question. I want to know. And lots of hugs to you too. But yeah, I guess it's from finding myself, being able to give myself a voice, to um, now being able to give other people a voice.
Yeah.
That's,
I don't
but
I don't even
what?
remember what my priorities were when I was 19. It's been so long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was 19, I was like, I will want to go to the Academy of Arts. So I got accepted at 18, but had to wait for another year.
Hmm.
And then I remember at 21, being able to live on my own. That was a huge adventure. I loved it. But a lot of things happened during that time, when I was um, in the last years of high school and the early years of going to the Academy of Arts, working a year in between. I learned so much during that time.
Hmm.
I finally started to travel by train, which I never did before, and I got to talk to other people, meet other people. So that was really eye-opening for me. It was welcome to the adult world. So,
Yeah.
and I dare say in a pretty short amount of time, I started living. I went living on my own in the studio. Then the next year, I started living together in a different city with someone else. And the year straight after, I was back again with my parents for like 6 or 7 months. I left during Christmas. And during that same time, I pretty much got um, dependent on other people because I couldn't move my hands anymore, like I shared at the beginning. So, and all the impressions I had from the elbow I couldn't use, to not being believed when I said my wrists are hurting, I can't do anything, to people, my bosses, basically saying you need to go back to that same place again, because that's where you got it. So they'll understand it. And of course, I didn't have I didn't even think about saying no. I was brought up like, okay, if someone tells you to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
And that it cost me literally my hands. So the good thing is, I told you about Eric Carr, remember that inch
Yeah.
from the Platform Hills? So he was my inspiration to go drumming. And so my physical therapist back then said, what you need to do, start playing drums. That's when I started driving my neighbors crazy because they had told me, still gullible and all, that
Mm.
when you put a rubber mat on an acoustic drumming kit, that it doesn't echo at all. Of course, biggest lie ever, especially when you don't have concrete walls, but you have like wooden and with straw in between.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but those were big adventures. Those were big adventures back in the days. And nowadays it's so, completely different. And I know we are getting into a totally different topic now, but with us getting into a new generation, moving up
Mm.
in
Yeah.
generation, things change so much. So
They're supposed to change.
yeah, 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 they are. And for me, it's a little bit weird. Well, probably for you too, because neither of us has children, and that
Yeah.
so it's more like looking at other people. So I've got lots of friends and family with kids. So I'm either an auntie by blood or I'm auntie because I'm good friends.
Yeah.
And seeing those little ones. So the tiniest one that I really see a lot of times is 4 years old now,
Hmm.
about to go 5. Um, there's one that's younger than, but I don't see him. Um, and the oldest one is they are in their 20s, and one of them is actually going to a different country, and I think she's 18, and she's already going to a totally different continent. And I'm like, wow, did we do that at our age?
Yeah. I have
So
used
yeah, you went, of course, to Ireland with 19.
the oldest. There, I have two nieces that are both going to be 20 this year.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's when you grow along.
Yeah.
You know, the first time you're behind the stroller, it's like, oh my God, there's a milk bottle on the stroller. Oh, they're the little ones. If they're done with their milk bottle because it's empty, they just throw it out the stroller.
Yeah.
You know, those first moments. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I told you I'm going all over the place today. I'm doing it again
I
because
could.
right now I'm literally in the place I was like, oh yeah, yeah, that's when I had my first burnout.
Yeah.
It was primarily in that same age range I was telling you about just now. So a lot happened in within a decade,
Hmm.
and really a lot of things. I think in 5 or 6 years, my life went from haywire to again haywire, from not being able to open a milk bottle up to not being able to read anything.
Hmm.
Those are two very extreme things.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and of course there was laughter too. I mean, I remember going to the gym, not being able to use those wrists and those hands. They had those leather straps that were tied around my wrists. So they would literally hook me up to the machine to be able to use to do these exercises. But then I couldn't take them off, and I couldn't get myself away from the machine. I was tied to the machine until someone would come and unhook me again. But it was the only way to get things done. So I think that back then I was already dependent on other people, and you know, um, and I didn't mind, as long as it worked, and it worked. Uh, so that was a good thing. But it's pretty funny if you think about it. It's the unusual things I've experienced in my life, like changing steering wheels. That's another
Hmm.
one because my hands were hurting, and um, so I got a sort of sports wagon. So you had those Holdens back then, and they had the Tigra. So it was a very small sports car, and had one, and the rooftop could actually open,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a two-seater, so I used that to go to work. But at some point, it just hurt, holding the steering wheel. So I got another steering wheel.
Yeah.
And of course, when I had to give the car back, because it was a lease car, none knew where the whole steering wheel was, which was supposed to be in the garage. But don't ask me where they kept it. But those things, like changing cars, trying things, like, okay, if I can't do one, can I do the other one? Those were things that, that it was weird if you think about it. That I was driving, like a couple of hours, and that instead of saying, okay, give me a job nearby, I would say, okay, I'll keep driving, 2 hours back, 2 hours forward, and but you just need to give me a good car. And that's when I started to go from stick shifting to automatic gear. So, yeah. So yeah, I'm literally going down memory lane right now.
It's all good.
Yeah, but it's when you talk about physical challenges in life,
Uh-huh.
I totally forgot, but I've had my fair share.
I'm sure.
And I guess that depending on the age range, I dealt differently with things now. So now, right now, I wouldn't want to work for any employer anymore, never again.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a big motivator for me to do certain things, because I'm like, okay, I need to get my rest in between, and then I can do a lot of things. I can be very productive. But I need to take those breaks. I need to be able to go to the physical therapist, and then I can travel. I can go all over the world. And there's no such thing as the sky is the limit, because the limit is beyond the sky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Good.
how about you? What would you say? Just looking back then and now.
Just what would I say about what it was like, or my biggest challenge, or
Well, no, maybe more like how have things changed for you? I mean, I just went down memory lane, and I realized that especially when I was in my 20s, I ran into a lot of things, including my back, which I couldn't move for like 6 or 8 weeks due to inline skates, because I didn't know how to speak up. I didn't
mm-hmm.
have a voice back then.
Yeah.
And that's probably why now that I have discovered my voice, things are changing, and I can actually give people a voice, which, by the way, does, and it is because I really couldn't move anymore. I couldn't walk, couldn't get anywhere, which was my primary reason for needing to speak up. I didn't have any other option anymore. So that's probably which resulted in the biggest change ever.
Yeah, I get it. I like it better now. I mean, when I was in my 20s, it was fun, but there was no responsibility, and now I have more purpose. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's true. We can leave a legacy for generations to come.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
I mean, back when I was 20, I wasn't thinking about helping anybody, and now I am. So.
No, yeah, that's true. And of course, up till 25, we're still developing part of our brain, which gives us empathy towards others. So we're more focused on ourselves for basic survival. And I do believe that lingers on a little bit till, say, early 30.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And of course, by the time that you get a little bit older than that, then experiences, all that stuff, makes a lot of difference. That's true.
Yeah, it does.
So is there anything you want to add to what we talked about? So we were talking about how to increase courage to stand up to others by conquering your fear one stride at a time. Do you think we've talked enough about standing up to others?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, it's just, it's hard, but you need to just do it. And then once you do it, I think that in itself will make an emotional change within you, and it'll make you stronger, emotional, emotionally, psychologically, and physically also to a degree. But I think for it to be physical, you have to keep going more and more. It's not just a one and done thing. But if you don't stand up for yourself against others, it'll just linger and make you feel worse and be harder on yourself. And it'll put you in a mindset that eventually it'll take you a long time to get out of. So the quicker that you're able to stand up for yourself, even if it's you don't have to be mean or brash or loud. You just talk, start a conversation, and the more you talk up for yourself, the more the more different you'll feel, and the more people will respect you and understand where you're coming from. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So it starts with that internal desire, need to know that you want something.
Yeah.
That gives you the courage to stand up to others. And of course, that's where it gets challenging because then it's like, do they understand you? And if they don't, it's just like you said, you have to find other ways to communicate
Yeah.
until the moment that they finally get, oh, that's where he or she is coming
Yeah.
from.
I'm not
And
big on so like I don't when if somebody yells at me, I shut off.
mhm.
So like, if you talk, people will hear you better. I believe.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, there's a lot of things we don't know about what happens with our mind and how we react to certain things and emotions. And of course, not yelling can trigger certain things,
Yeah.
making us literally shut down.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When
Definitely.
there's a lot of noise and it's coming from multiple directions, basically, I used to be able to handle that,
Yeah.
but I can't anymore. So I tell people, okay, I need to get out of this environment. If it's one at a time, I'll listen. But if it's not, then bye. I'm going.
Yeah.
So
Thankful.
I guess it's also about knowing yourself.
Yeah. 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 It is.
Yeah. And now I'm glad that I did go down memory lane because talking about this, I was I knew what I wanted, I knew what I needed. So when it came to doing things for me, I would do it. But right now, things have changed so much that when it really comes to standing up to others, it's far more easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's experience, I suppose. Okay, you have moved rooms,
Yeah. Well,
so
I had to
so
move.
I guess it's time to finish up.
Yes.
I like all the pictures over there.
What was that?
Like I see all these pictures in the background.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Those,
lovely.
those are my Beetle pictures.
Yeah, nice. Okay, next week, hopefully, the time that we normally have,
Yeah.
we'll be back again. And I make sure that this is going to be posted on YouTube too.
Okay. Thank
And if anyone has any questions, whatever, reach out to either you or me or to the
you.
both
Okay.
of us. And we always welcome people, you,
Okay.
listeners, viewers, as a guest. So just so you know.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, have a
Bye.
wonderful evening.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.